What's up, YouTube? We back with another video. 2015 Honda Pilot, and I will be showing y'all how to drain and flush the radiator coolant using a siphon machine. First thing you want to do is you want to loosen up your radiator cap, because you want to remove all of that old coolant from the radiator first. So we're going to open up this hot cap, but just be careful when opening it up. That's why you got the daily one, because you can shoot up that coolant because it's pressurized. So make sure you depressurize it before you try opening it up. Take your siphon hose. Take your siphon hose and just literally just run that hose through here like this. Just run your siphon hose. You just want to put your siphon right in there. Make sure it's positioned perfect. And what you want to do is come over to the machine, and you want to select remove coolant. So you want to put it on remove. You want to put it on remove, and then you want to turn the machine on. So you hit that valve, turn it on. Now what it's going to do is it's going to start removing this coolant from the radiator. So if you guys can see, that coolant is flowing out. That old coolant is flowing out from the siphon machine into the reservoir of the machine itself. So you just want to let it all drain out. Let it all drain out, because what we're going to have to do next is come over here to the reservoir and drain all of that coolant out of the reservoir. So what it's doing now is draining from the radiator. It's draining from the radiator. And what you should note, and what should have happened when you started, was that this hose should have lost pressure, and you should just be able to squeeze this hose. So this hose should be, squeezed just like that. And that's letting you know, that's an indication that this siphon machine is working and it's pulling out, it's sucking out the coolant. So you want to just let that coolant just siphon out, like so. Keep letting it siphon out. Keep letting it siphoning out. So you guys can get a look at that coolant flowing out of there. Watch that coolant siphon out. You can literally see it pumping out. And I'm going to go and get coolant while that's still removing. What you want to do is fill up your coolant reservoir to the top, because once this machine detects that there's enough fluid in the system, after refilling, this would automatically stop. So you want to get it all the way full, like that. Come back over to the vehicle and continue to let that drain. Continue to let it drain. Still draining. still draining. As you can see, there's very little coming out still. So, if you can look at the siphon hose, you can tell there's barely any coming out. So that's an indication that it's almost empty. So we can remove this hose and put it on the reservoir. So take a hot towel, rag, and put it over this hot hole. And then what you want to do is come over here and hit stop. So remove, and then you want to hit test, and then you want to shut that valve off. Then while doing so, all you want to do is you want to make sure you put your radiator cap. Actually, we're not going to even put nothing back yet. Leave the radiator cap off, come over here to the reservoir. Take your hose, siphon tube, stick it inside the reservoir, like so. Once you stick it in that reservoir, you'll start seeing coolant being removed. So we want to go back over here. You want to go back to remove, set them both back to remove, and turn that valve back on. So as you can see, if you can just get a good look inside of this coolant reservoir, you can see that coolant is, this machine is sucking that coolant out. So that's the purpose of this machine. The purpose of this siphon machine is to remove fluid through the process of siphoning and vacuum. So it's vacuuming it out, and then we have to remove it, refill it. So we're just gonna let it sit there, watch it through its thing. Watch it do its thing. Sorry about that, YouTube. My phone fell. So let it grab all of this coolant. So let it remove that coolant. removing that coolant. Allow it to remove that coolant. Walk around to the vehicle. Let's start up the vehicle. After starting up that vehicle, you want to come over to your settings, turn that heat all the way up. Here, sync, push, push, and then you want to rear. You want to turn the volume up to high, the temperature up to high. And then you want to turn those fans up high. And that is it. Turn everything on high. Turn all the heat on high. Switch the mode. And it's a good indication that you've got all of that old coolant out. You just come put your hand over the vent. It should be blowing out a little cold, so if it is, now it's time for you to go and refill the coolant. So let's walk around because I'm getting cool air when it should be blowing hot. So now it's time to refill. So we're going to walk around back to the front of the vehicle and fill up the radiator and the reservoir with radiator engine coolant. Let's walk around to the front. Okay, so now what you want to do is you want to stop this machine for a second. So to stop it, you want to go to stop, remove, test, and then you want to shut that valve off. Then what we're going to do is we're going to remove the suction. Then we're going to, next, what we're going to do is we're going to fill up the radiator. So take the siphon, put it over the radiator cap, the radiator hose. Go back over to your machine. So to fill, you want to remove and then fill. And keep that valve shut off. And let me show you what it does. When you do that, there should be fluid coming out of this machine. Okay. No fluid coming out. So that's what you want to see. Coolant coming out. The unique thing about this machine is you'll see that level go down and it'll stop once it's full. Once it detects that the system is full of coolant, it'll stop. So that's a unique thing about it. You see how it's surging? So it's surging that coolant in there for that reason. So just put that back on there though. You don't want air getting in the system, so put this back on. Fill it up, fill it up. And remember I told you guys earlier, remember that hose was sucked in. Now you can see it's back to its normal condition because it's not vacuuming anymore. It's now able to receive that fluid and that coolant through the system now to the engine. So I want to show you guys that as well. Now from here, what you want to do is periodically go and just check the vents to make sure the heat is blowing hot. So we're getting heat, so that's a good sign that coolant is actually entering the system again. So that's a good thing. So what you want is, again, I told you guys that machine will stop. As you can see, it's kind of got a little bit there. It's going to stop when it's detected that it does not need to keep going. Keep filling from there. Let it flow, let it flow. It will automatically fill up. And when it fill up, what you want to do is let it kind of overflow the cap just a little bit and stop. So you want to just fill that cap line and then stop it. So right, time to shut that valve off. That valve will stop that from running. The test. Shut that off. Now you see the radiator is sucking that coolant in because it wants to take it, so we might have to put just a little more. Go over and check your coolant gauge. Make sure that gauge isn't doing anything weird. Come over, check your gauge. That gauge should be just about there. Should not surpass that half line. So that's a good sign that the coolant is back working properly. But let's go back and just continue to flush. Put a little more. Allow the air bubbles to remove. So you'll know there's no air in the system when that continues to flush down. If it doesn't flush down, that's an indication that the air bubbles are gone. So at this point, what I like to do is just put that radiator cap back on there. Get that radiator cap back on. Get it back on. Twist it, tighten it. Take your reservoir cap. Put your reservoir cap back on. Sometimes you don't even need to refill the reservoir because it'll refill itself as you're pumping it through the radiator. Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, share. Please leave a comment. I'm out.